Hi, this is Frank Shamrock, MMA legend, UFC superstar, and you're listening to MMA Crib Fighting Talk.
Gregory Stone, MMAcript.com. On today's show, I'll be speaking with Jonathan Johnny Boy Nunez. Johnny is set to take on 28 fight veteran Brian Cobb at World Series of Fighting 17, Shields versus Foster. Now, their fight will serve as the co-main event of the evening for World Series of Fighting 17. The fight with Brian has been billed as Johnny's biggest test to date. With that, I'd like to welcome into the show Johnny Nunez. Welcome to the show, Johnny.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, Johnny. Okay, Johnny, you heard the statement. This is being billed as your biggest fight to date. Would you agree with that statement?
No, I agree with it. It's he's got 28 fights, so it's something that that'd be a test for anybody. He's kind of a veteran in the sport, fought in the UFC, so I'm excited. I'm excited to fight somebody with that many fights.
Now, before we dig into your fight with Brian, I understand that you've been, you actually took a trip to Boise, Idaho over the weekend. What took you to Boise so close to your fight?
Well, I got inducted into my high school Hall of Fame. They had an induction ceremony, and they flew me out to, be a part of the induction and see some family. So it was good. It was good to get away out of Vegas from training for a day or so. I still got some training while I was down there, but it's always good to step away and clear your head a little bit.
Was that for wrestling?
Yes.
I was going to say, did you manage to get some training in when you went to Boise, or was it a much-needed break?
Yeah, it was. I got some training in. I got to work with my, I kind of have a game plan with some jiu-jitsu for this fight, and me and my first Brazilian jiu-jitsu trainer, Mitch Coates, with the Lions Jiu-Jitsu. He's got an academy there in Boise, and we worked on a few things for the game plan. So it was good to get back there and get some more work in with him.
Well, speaking of Boise, Idaho, they certainly produced some quality wrestlers into the game of mixed martial arts. I noticed you and Miles Hunsinger, you've both made your way from Boise, Idaho to Syndicate MMA. I wanted to know, is there a link between Boise and Syndicate MMA, Jim?
No, actually, I'm not really with Syndicate anymore. I'm over at Extreme Couture, so there really is no link there. The link actually is with Glenn Amador, who was he was the owner of Tap Out Training Center in Las Vegas a few years back. So he brought a lot of us out here to come train there and do some things there.
Yeah, I noticed that you've been training at Extreme Couture. Was there a particular reason you left Syndicate for Extreme Couture?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Was there a particular reason you left Syndicate MMA for Extreme Couture?
I was never actually really part of their fight team. I kind of just coached some classes there and kind of had to do some of that for work, and it's just a lot of better guys and a lot of more high calibrated guys over at Extreme Couture.
Is Ross still your strength and conditioning trainer?
Yeah, Ross Jensen.
Yeah, Ross Jensen.
Yeah. I started working with him with this camp. He's got a lot of good things to offer. He's really smart about the MMA game, and he does bring a lot to the table in the fight camp.
What sort of strength and conditioning workouts does he put you through? Because I know he works with Miles Hunsinger too, and you both look really explosive and strong in your wrestling. I'd attribute that to some of Rossi's work with you. Just what sort of workouts does he put you through in the lead up to a fight?
Yeah, he does. We do a lot of explosive stuff, plyos. More towards the end of the camp, we do a lot of lighter weights, but everything is circuit and a lot of explosion, which is really good. And he gears a lot of it to MMA and fighting as well.
Is it sort of to get your heart rate at a high level all of a sudden, really quick, and then obviously bring it back down for those quick spurts, which you do get in MMA?
Yeah, that's what he tries to work on. We do stuff like within 5-minute increments, just like a round in MMA.
Well, let's talk about your opponent, Brian Cobb. Obviously, he is an experienced veteran in the MMA game. Now, he's been at the cage, though, for a year and a half. I did notice on his Twitter feed, he posted that It's been a bit of a shitty 2014 year for him, and 2015 will be his year. He obviously has plans to make you his first victim of 2015. What's your response to that?
Well, I mean, you don't fight in a year and a half. It's you don't fight in 6 months, and it's a long time. So, I can't imagine what a year and a half is. So he's got to be rusty. I know he wasn't training the whole time, the year and a half. So it's not like, he's been looking for a fight since then. So if he wants to fight, he's gonna get it.
Obviously, both you and Brian Cobb, you're both tremendous wrestlers. I want to get your opinion on this. How do you think that will play out in the fight? I'm assuming, well, my opinion is anyway, that the wrestling scrambles, is going to be a major factor in this fight with you and Brian Cobb.
Yeah, it's a grind. We both are good wrestlers and good on the ground, so it'll be interesting. Takedowns, reversals, escapes. So there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of scrambling. I do know that.
Do you think this is where your strength and conditioning training with Ross Jensen will actually come into play?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It will come into play really big because, I can grind. I can grind guys out. So that's the plan.
Well, I was actually watching Brian Cobb's last fight against Justin Gaethje. I noticed that he polished off Brian Cobb with leg kicks in the last fight. Is that something you've been looking into? Obviously, it will weaken him and take away his wrestling too. Yeah,
it's definitely. I'm gonna definitely get on his leg, and I'm not afraid to show it. He better work on his checking his kicks because they're coming hard, they're coming strong, so they're going to be followed up with some punches too.
We mentioned the veteran aspect and the wrestling grinding of Brian Cobb. Now, I sort of look at this fight between you and Brian Cobb. Obviously, you're an up-and-coming fighter. Brian Cobb is a seasoned veteran, been in the UFC, even though he did lose his fight, but still, he's been around the game. He's sort of going to give you a grinding fight. So I look at this and I sort of think that World Series of Fighting will put you up against him to really see if you are for real. Test your mettle, so to speak. Would you sort of agree?
Yeah. He's got a lot of mat time, I would say, as far as wrestling and fighting. So, we just going to see who's going to be the better fighter when the day comes. So.
Well, I mentioned his last fight. It was for the belt, obviously. Is this something that you're looking at? Obviously, even though he has been out for a year, his last fight was for the belt.
The belts are just an object, and obviously, I do want to be the champ, and I do want to win the title. But a fight's a fight. My contract doesn't change each time if I'm in a title fight, they're not going to renegotiate my fight. My pay's still the same. Now, if I'm the champ, and then I can have some leverage to renegotiate, which is good. But I still got 2 more fights, so I'm not looking that far ahead yet.
Well, staying on his fight with Justin Gaethje, I did notice in the fight that he was Brian Cobb. He was very effective with counter striking and going for takedowns off the counter. He'd obviously wait till Justin would rush him with punches and take him down. Obviously, Justin tried a few spinning attacks, which obviously easily sets up for the takedown and give up your back too. But I wanted to know, because you're quite an aggressive fighter, would you sort of slow down the pace in this fight just so you don't give an easy takedown to Brian Cobb?
I've played every different scenario there is possible in my head and in practice. So I'm ready for anything. I take what I want, and I'm just gonna see how it plays out. There's no real. I can push the pace to my pace, and he's not gonna get me out of my style. So that's how it goes.
Well, I just want to mention one thing about his style and mainly his stand-up department, because the fight against Justin, he used the jab, double jab a lot, and jab left cross. Well, it was left jab right cross, sorry. And he had a lot of success against Justin with that. But I noticed it's mainly because Justin stood in front of him. He would move backwards and forwards. There wasn't many angles against Brian Cobb.
Yeah.
Are you looking to implement angles against Brian Cobb?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my stand-up game is a lot better than Justin Gaethje's. I don't think he moves his head a lot, and hardly no feints. So there's definitely a lot of boxing that's going to come into play.
Okay, let's switch gears on the interview a second. I understand that World Series of Fighting have had a hard time finding your opponents recently. Do you know why that is?
No, I kind of dealt with a little bit of injuries after my last fight, so that might have been some of the reason why. But I'm an up-and-coming fighter, so I would understand why some guys wouldn't want to fight. But we all got to get paid.
Well, I was going to say, there's quite an exciting fight on the horizon for you. Obviously, not to look past Brian Cobb, but you certainly defeat him. I noticed Nick Newell, he's come out publicly and said he's looking for a fight. He just wants to get back in the cage. Up-and-coming fighter, facing the guy who's coming off a title shot. That'd be two guys who fought for the title. That'd be pretty interesting for the fans and yourself, I would assume. Would Nick Newell be a guy you'd like to face, possibly?
If that's who they give me, then that's who I'll take. I don't think he's anywhere the caliber of fighter of even Brian Cobb. So,
sticking with World Series of Fighting a second, they've recently come under fire from a few of their fighters on the roster. How have your dealings been with World Series of Fighting? From what I can tell, they seem pretty reasonable, but there's been a few fighters complaining about not getting paid what they're supposed to be paid or contracted to be paid. Not being fighting enough. But from what I understand, World Series of Fighting, if they can't set you up with a fight, they loan you out to other promotions and other companies. So I don't actually see the issue. But how's things been with you in World Series of Fighting?
It's good. This is my second fight with them, so I can't really complain about it much yet. So I know in my contract I can go fight, get some fights and stay busy other places as long as I let them know where it's at and what kind of shows they are. So mainly out of country.
Okay, Johnny, is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners who'll be tuning in January 17th to watch your fight against Brian Cobb on the NBC Sports Network channel, 9 p.m. Eastern Time?
Check me out this Saturday, NBC Sports co-main event. Just want to thank my sponsors, Warrior Fuel, Garden of Life, American Heritage, Glen Amador, Rockwell Watches. So tune in.
Okay, that's a wrap for today's show from the MMA Crip Fighting Talk Show. Thank you for watching.